Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Faizan Sheikh and today we are going to start with the part 2 of our Adobe Commerce series, that is downloading and installing Magento. So let's just get straight into it. The best way to take a look at it is if you go through our official documentation, that is devdocs.magento.com, which is now being migrated to a new page, that is experienceleague.adobe.com. So this is the new domain name or URL for the DevDocs of Magento. We have already covered what all things we are going to use in a previous video. Let's just have a quick recap. We will be using Ubuntu, Apache 2.4, PHP 8.1, MySQL 8, and Elasticsearch 7. Let's just have a quick overview. PHP minus minus version. We have PHP 8.1. Apart from that, we have MySQL 8 installed, and we also have Elasticsearch 7 installed. I think I need to start it. Sudo service Elasticsearch start. Okay. In the meanwhile, now like I said, there are two ways to install Magento. That is, one is Composer based installation and the other one is cloning a GitHub repo. We will be looking at the first method, that is Composer based installation. We are already clear of the system requirements. By the way, in the first video, the latest version of Magento was 2.4.5. Now 2.4.5 P1 is also released. That is a minor version of 2.4.5. We will be using 2.4.5 in our series. So let's just go into quick start installation of Magento. Now we will be using Composer based installation. So we will be using this command: Composer create project, repository URL, repo.magento.com, and what we want to install, that is Magento project community edition and our installation directory. Now if you look over here, there is a repository URL, that is repo.magento.com. Whenever we are trying to create a Magento project, it will ask us for username and password. So we need to create a key in this URL. Let's just quickly go to repo.magento.com. It will redirect us to marketplace.magento.com. We need to create an account over here. I already have one, so we will need to sign in with our Adobe ID. I have an account with my Gmail associated with it. So if you look over here, we need to go to our profile section, and in the access keys. Now, if you look, I already have an access key created, so I can simply use it. My username will be my public key and the password will be my private key. If you don't have, you can simply create a new one, give a random name to it. I'll just give in mag, and if you see, it is created and it is also enabled. So yeah, let's just go into it. My Elasticsearch is on. We can simply verify it, and if you see, we have Elasticsearch version 7.17.x installed. Now let's go into our directory. The document to directory is where www html, and we need to create a project. I will just expand the screen. Now if you take a look at it, it is Composer create project, repository URL, what we want to create, that is Magento project community edition, and the directory, we will just name it Magento Composer. If you don't name it anything, it will directly take project community edition. So up to you. Now it will start with the creating of a Composer project. It will take some time. In the meanwhile, we can take a look at the other way of creating Magento installation, that is the GitHub way. Let's just go to Magento GitHub. This is github.com/magento2. Now if you see over here, the main branch is 2.4-develop. If you look at the name, it says that there is some active development going on in this. So all the 2.4 series of Magento, all the development, it is now then merged into this 2.4 develop. So 2.4.3, 2.4.4, 2.4.5, and now the development of 2.4.6 will be merged into this 2.4 develop branch. Then it will be packaged, and that composer version will be released as 2.4.6 in the future. So the main difference, if we want to use the composer version, it is usually for the deployment of composer on the client side, and if we have to do some development or some open source contribution, in that case we need to use the Magento version. That is the basic syntax. If you look at the issues, we can report the issues, whatever that is there, the internal team will pick it and fix it. Or if you want, you can also provide a fix for it. Like we can see there are some 16 pull requests that are in open state. So if you think that this is something important and you know the fix, you can simply give the fix as well. Let's just take a look at our Magento installation. So if you see, our composer based installation is successful. Let's just have a look. It is Magento composer. We will go into Magento composer and we will follow on with the other part. Now if you want to install a minor release, for example 2.4.5 p1, you can simply put in the version, specify the version equal to 2.4.5 p1. It will install. Now we need to give permission to our directory, and we already have this given by Magento. I'm sorry. We will basically give write permission for the group. Apart from that, we need to also give permission. This is for files and this is for directory. If you see type minus type F, it is for all the files in these directories, and minus type D, it is for the directories of basically these directories. Let's just press enter. And apart from that, if you look at it now, when I've created, I think we can take a look at it now. So if you see, my user is Faizan and my group is also Faizan, but we know that Apache runs on group www data, so we can just change the owner to owner of the group to www data. I will be requiring sudo. Okay. Now if you see, previously it was Faizan. Now the group owner is changed to www data. Apart from that, we have an executable file in bin directory, that is Magento. I will talk about it in the coming series. We need to give it executable permission, that is u plus x. U means user and x means executable permission to the user. So we will simply copy it, and I think I will again require sudo access for this. So let's just take a look at it. Now if you see www data and in cd bin, I have Magento executable permission, right? So that's it. Now we need to install Magento. We already have a command. Now, like I told, this is an executable file, and if you see, to install the application, we need to trigger this bin Magento script, and we have some inbuilt commands already that Magento provides, like setup install or setup upgrade. These all commands, we'll take a look at it in the future. So let's just copy it first of all. We'll go through it one by one. This bin Magento is our executable file. Setup install is the command that Magento gives to install Magento. Apart from that, we will need to decide the base URL. We can keep it as, let's say, Magento C dot local LCL. Magento C means Magento composer dot local. Our DB host will be local. Our DB name will be Magento. So this will be basically a database that we need to create before triggering this command. My database user is Faizan and its password is Faizan at the rate 123. I'll wait. Yeah. So this you can whenever you have installed MySQL, you need to give that username and password. The admin first name will just keep it as it is, even the email. So admin user I'm keeping as admin, and the admin password I'm keeping it as admin123, the default things. And apart from that, we need to configure Elasticsearch. So everything is pretty much same. We just need to change the localhost from this to our host to localhost. Also, if we now if we just run this command, Magento will be installed, but in this case the admin URL will be a bit different. It will be admin underscore and some unique key. So if we don't want that, we can simply add one more parameter, that is backend hyphen front name equals to admin. Even if we don't put this, we can change it later, but let's just try it, give it a try with this one. We will paste the command. So bin Magento setup install and with all these parameters, and we will, oh, I am in the bin directory. We need to execute it from this root from a root directory. So Magento does not exist, or yeah. So like I said, we need to create a database. I will just log into my database, and if you see show databases, we don't have a MySQL database. Actually, I think we should create database with the name Magento C, because we also need to install it through the GitHub. So we'll give it another database name. Create database Magento C. That's it. And we will also change it over here to Magento C. Let's just copy it again. If you look at it, our database is now created. So yeah. Now the installation of Magento, it is starting. It will take some time to install, especially if you are running your PC on an HDD. It will take a lot of time. Magento is an heavy installation, so I'd recommend using an FTD or for the installation of Magento. Once it is installed, meanwhile this is installed, we can configure our Apache configurations. So let's just have a quick look at it. So the first thing that we did was we have set our base URL as magento.c.local. So that we need to configure in our etc hosts, sudo vi etc hosts. So if you look at it, I'll just copy this one, paste it, and we can simply copy the name magento.local. That will be our URL. We can create a separate video on the Apache configuration. Right at the moment, you can just follow on what I am doing. We will right quit it. Apart from that, now we have already configured our base URL, but we also need to create a configuration file for the Apache web server for this Magento basically. Now if you see, the installation of Magento is done, but we cannot access it just by putting in the name. We also need to create an entry for it in our configuration file. So you can go into cd etc Apache 2 sites available. If you look at it, there is one file that is 000 default.conf, which has some default configuration. We can either add an entry in this one, or we can go on and create a new file for our specific configuration. For now, we'll just add an entry in this file, existing file, sudo vi 000 default.conf. Now, if you see here, this is one virtual host entry that is given, and its document root is var www html. So if we go to the URL and we just type in localhost, an Apache page opens, that is index.html. This is because of this entry, document root var html. It will check for index.php or index.html, whichever it gets, it will open. So we will just add an entry like this for our Magento base installation. Virtual host, and it should run on our port 80 / virtual host. Now there are just few things that is required. One is server name. So server name, That is our Magento c dot local, our URL name that we have given, that is Magento c dot local. Apart from that, the document root that we need. So I will just copy it from here, paste it over here. But our directory is Magento hyphen composer. Magento hyphen composer. I think this is required, and we'll see if there is anything else that is required. We'll just add it. Right quit. And now we'll just sudo service Apache to reload. Now, if you see, I have added this entry in sites available. There is another directory called sites enabled ls. And if you see, there is a symboling for this 00 default.conf. I will just open it for the sake of understanding. And whatever that we have added, it is already updated over here. Now, if you create a new directory for a new configuration file in sites available, then you need to enable it. So the simple command for it is sudo a2. A2 stands for Apache 2. En site. En sites means enable site. So if there is any configuration file like this, so we can just type en site, and whatever the configuration file is there .conf, so that file will be enabled. You need to reload Apache, and that will be now then showed in the sites enabled directory. So now we have already added in the 00 default.conf, so I think that's fine. Apart from that, I think we are done. We can just take a look at it. It was Magento c.local. Now, if you look at it, it is opening something like this. So that means we need to add a little bit of more configuration into our Apache configuration. We'll just have a look. Let's just go. This is our Apache root directory, etc Apache 2. Now, if you look what all is there, there is one apache2.conf file. Let's just open it. Apache2.conf. We need to add directory into our configuration. I'll just search it. Now, if you see, this directory is for the root folder of the system, and it has allow override none. And we also have another directory in the triple W directory where there is allow override none by default. So we need to add a directory for our own configuration, because we don't want this default one. And we can add this over here in this apache2.conf file, or we can add this entry into our custom created virtual host directory. So I think that would be a better option. So I'll just copy this part, quit, cd sites available, sudo vi 00 default.conf. And here, if you see, we already have a document root, but we also want, by the way, there is one mistake over here. The document root for Magento, it is pub in Magento root directory /pub. This is the document root. So that is one thing. We will just paste it. We don't actually need this option, and even this option we don't need. And from this allow override none, we can keep it to all, and this will be Magento composer. So whatever it is in this directory, we will allow it to override. And I think that is it. We will just save it. Sudo service Apache 2 reload. Now, if we take a look at it again, the first time it will take a little bit of time to load. Once it is cached, it will be a bit faster. So now if you look at it, something weird is happening. That is, our Magento is not loaded as we expected it to load. So probably there is something still wrong in our configuration. We'll just have a look at it. So if you see over here, the path was var www and it should be HTML Magento. I think it is now correct. Let's just reload our Apache. And so yeah, this is a default installation of Magento. This is a default interface that Magento provides. It is a Luma theme and it has all the features. You can log in or you can create an account. Let's just have overview of our admin as well, admin backend. So remember we configured this URL /admin for our front end back name. That is over here, front end back name, that is admin. So that is basically this URL. And also we have created the username as admin and the password as admin123. Admin123. Now if you see over here, it says failed to send a message, please contact the administrator. You need to configure two-factor authorization in order to proceed in the storage admin area. So by default, Magento has a 2FA enabled, and this usually happens when you configure your first name, last email address basically, and email is sent to configure through 2FA. But in our case, we will not be requiring it. So I'll show you how we can disable this 2FA and then log in into admin panel in the next video, along with the installation of Magento using the GitHub clone. I think this has become a pretty big video, but I think we have covered it all. We have installed Magento using composer-based installation, and we have also taken a look at some basic configurations of Apache that we need to do to make our site up and running. You can just explore it for now, and we will see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and yeah, we'll see you in the next video.